Hey guys, it's diaperperv and welcome to Communicating Your Fantasies. We are going to recreate a class that I taught last CapCon, which is OMG, like a year ago now. I had called it Creating Your Dream Scene, but really it's about organizing your thoughts and being able to communicate your one fantasy, especially if you are going to a pro diaper fantasy facilitator, pro mommy nursery, whatever you want to call it. And oh my goodness, there's dog hair on this, and I know, and you're not sure how to communicate what you want to another person, especially for the first time. So let's go into it. Let's look at the slides. I created this because there are many ABDLs who have never engaged in play with another person or have limited experience in interactions with someone else. Perhaps you have a willing partner who wants to learn, but you're not sure how to express all these fantasies and desires you've had just floating through your head for many years. Well, now, yay, it's the time for you to have the opportunity to engage in it, whether it's a friend, partner, or pro. I hope this thing helps. I'm also going to link to my ABDL checklist that I made. Feel free to download or share that wherever you want, so you can kind of tick off the things you like and you don't like. So let's pretend that I have a new client coming to my now closed nursery and they don't know where to start. I ask them, well, what do you want to get out of this? And they're like, oh no, I don't know what to say. And this has happened. Me being the pro, will ask if they've ever interacted with anyone else before in their ABDL fantasies and how those experiences were. So I understand where they're coming from and if they've had experience. And then I'll ask an open-ended question like, what would you like to experience in our time together today? I'll get answers as vague as diaper punishment, forced diapering, having a mommy, and I don't know. Then I will usually ask them what their top fantasy is. If they can't express it or say not sure, then I'll ask what are the top 3 videos that you enjoy watching when you have alone time and you're wearing, or other media, whether some people love stories. I guess it's just mainly videos or stories, or captions, or an amalgamation of several different things, and that will get things started. Sometimes the videos they watch are vastly different, so I'll try to see what they all have in common, if it's a common general theme, what acts are present in it, and the general feelings. I'll point out the main elements that seem the most important and recurring to affirm these points. So knowing that words and terms mean something different to everyone. So if they say, yeah, I want diaper punishment, or I want to be humiliated, that's not enough, and everyone will interpret that slightly differently depending on their understanding of what those words mean to them and how it relates to ABDL and their personal experience. So don't just guess, because that's when lines can really get crossed. Humiliation can mean anything that person interprets, from verbal degradation to just verbal reminders about how much you need diapers. That might be humiliating for some people. It doesn't mean being spanked and forced diapered. You have to ask them. For some it may. For some it could mean forced on their knees to scrub the kitchen floor while being flogged. So the words punishment and humiliation, vast, huge thing. So ask for a clarification, like, what does that mean to you when I say that, or in your head? Then I ask them, especially for like a time limited scene, I ask them what acts are important versus not important. And if they're not sure, then I'll start listing them. Like if they want an age play scene, right? I'll be like, okay, feeding time, bubble baths, Like, obviously, like diapering and diaper changes and diaper checks are involved, so we already know that. We're past that. Coloring, story times, bedtimes, cuddle times, and for some people, some of these things aren't that important. A lot of times feeding time isn't a big one. Bubble baths is a must for some people, and for some people they're like, don't care less about it. Hearing the acts will help them and you prioritize everything, and they'll tell you what they don't want or they're indifferent about. And if it's a very, very long scene, like an all-day scene, then yeah, you're gonna have time for pretty much everything at that point, like the bubble baths and the other things that may not make it to their top 5 in their list. I also asked them, how do you want to feel? And that kind of sets the overall tone of things. There's no right or wrong answer in this. A lot of times this will reveal the essence of the whole session scene and how you as a big can tie it all together. Like, for example, they can describe a super hardcore spanking, forced diapering with restraints, but they're feeling they want to feel like mommy loves me and wants the best for me. A lot of common things I've heard are to feel little and helpless, to carefree, that I have no choices and mommy makes all my choices, that power is taken away from me, and to feel cared for and loved. Then I will ask them, is there a specific opening you think about? Sometimes they have one specific thing their fantasies always start with, like wetting their pants and their mom finds it, or they get sent home from school and their mom is waiting for them because the principal already called them. Sometimes they've never thought about any openings and they just fantasize about, boom, they're already regressed and all this stuff is happening. So at that point, it's up to you to use your imagination to create a super fun, plausible, real scenario that can lead the entire scenario in and set the tone. And I try to tie everything together as organically and realistically as possible, because that really puts them in the mindset that, yeah, this is real because it's really happening, and yes, she is really my mom. It's not hard because both my husband and my ex-husband call me mom. I also asked them, what percentage of the time do you fantasize about diapers when you masturbate? And that kind of lets me know exactly that question. I'll answer it myself. For me, it's about 90%. Now, here is a really telling question that I love asking. I ask my friends, I ask random diaper boys that I'm chatting with, and also my clients, my ex-clients. What do you think about right before you come? I word it as, when you're fantasizing, what's the thing that makes it go from, oh, this feels so good, my diaper feels so good, to, oh shit, I'm coming. I already hit that point of no return, you know, that hump. For some, it's a specific thing or action, and for some, it's a overall feeling. I find it's usually the same thing or a few things that get cycled through regularly in their mind, and this helps you later on. And this is how I incorporate the answer to that question to later. So later, it's like closer to the end of our session, right? They're having fun. I'm using the wand, 2 wands, whatever. And they're in the scene, but maybe their trigger, their coming trigger is being changed in Disneyland. I'm not joking. That is a very popular one. It's like a public change somewhere where, you know, someone might catch you, or other women are walking by. So I will start creating that fantasy verbally while they're just in the crib or in the hotel room or whatever. I will start talking about how I'm going to take them to Disneyland, and then blah, blah, he's going to mess his diaper, and then we'll have to do this, and I'll have to help him up on the changing table, and just painting that fantasy and using the triggers. will really, really help. That's when the fine details is important, is to create those fine details, the smell in there, the other women coming into the bathroom and giggling or commenting what they would say and what type of diaper you would have. It's important to be able to tell a good story. And then at the end, after all this talking, okay, I can usually do this in like 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. I ask them, what role do you see me as? Because sometimes it changes. Sometimes they're very, very intent on, I want this mommy fantasy, okay? That's all I've ever thought about. This is my time. I have the 4 hours. This is it. And there are times when they're like, no, I don't see you as that. I see you as, you know, the naughty babysitter or an auntie or whatever. Don't just assume that they want a mommy, because some people don't. Some people have bad memories of that, or they don't want to associate their real mom with this fantasy and with this fetish, and they would prefer that you were a family friend or the nice aunt or whatever. That's it. So I always tell them, be free to be your little self or however you want to be. I'm only reacting to you. That's it. If you are the one, the little or the diaper lover who is getting their fantasy fulfilled, please, like, try not to be super silent and non-reactive. React to when they're doing stuff. I know you're shy, and I know it's very scary for someone else to see you in this state, but the more you give them, the more they can react to you, and they can easily further the scenarios and the play and the things involved. Does that make sense? Otherwise, it's the other person, it's the big who has to carry it the entire time. And for some people who aren't that experienced, that might be really hard for them. Like, it was a little bit hard for me in the very beginning, but I got into it really quickly. Like, maybe after the first month, I was good. There are some people who may not have a super active imagination. So playing into it, just cuddling them and be like, mommy or auntie, or I want this, like giving them that feedback is awesome and will be very helpful. If you're feeling like a brat, do it. This is your time to be you. Don't feel pressured to act. As a little, you know, yeah, you haven't had a lot of experiences, possibly, maybe. Don't act like you would imagine a, 5-year-old would act or a 2-year-old would act. Just be yourself. Just react to whatever's there, whatever's in the room, whatever's here. I mean, there's so much things you could do. You could try to climb out of the crib, see what happens. Throw some crayons around. Trust that the other person isn't going to judge you. They might punish you if you're bad, but they shouldn't be judging you. Jeez. As a bigs that aren't sure what their partner wants or never played and puts pressure on themselves to be the perfect mommy or whatever that top role is, will tend to act like they think a mommy or nurse would act like. I would advise not doing that and just being yourself. Be you as a mom, how you would actually be as a mom or the head nurse of this facility or whatever. Because I think when you're acting, the other person can see it, and it may not be authentic, and it will be really hard to do in the longer it goes. Like in hour 3, if you're acting, you're gonna get tired. But if you're just yourself, then you're just yourself. There's a lot of other slides here that talk about toys, discussing limits, disclosure of past traumas, safe words, sexual contact, sexual touch or activity is not a given, and make sure you explicitly negotiate whether this will be an aspect of the play scene or not? And if the answer is yes, then depends on how far it will go. I have pushed people's boundaries. I mean, not as a pro, but as a non-pro. As diaperperv, I've pushed people's boundaries. What is this on my finger? That was weird. Okay, anyways, yep, that was pretty much my class at Capcom. Bye.